this game ends up going the distance here, simply because... Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Game 4 of the Hot Seat Week 2, King of the Hill, Best of 9. We're spawning on Dead Wing, in the top left-hand position as the red Protoss player representing Team Fnatic. It is Year of Harstem. I think it's been Year of Harstem for 3 or 4 years now that I think about it. I guess it's just really popular. And spawning in the bottom left-hand position as the yellow Protoss player. He represents Team mYinsanity, based out of Switzerland. Our Kiwi hero from Week 1, defending his title here on Week 2. It is myi.petraeus. Alrighty, are we going to see petraeus start to squeeze out an advantage with a 2-game lead after this game? Or are we actually going to be seeing Harstem pull it back to evens once more? So far, I have to be honest, this series has been pretty close, pretty exciting games. And last week was also very, very close with that beautiful ZVZ between petraeus and Bly. If you haven't watched it, don't worry. VODs are available on DingIt. You can go to the DingIt TV website and search for the VODs there. You can watch them all week. Alternatively, after a week, I'll also have them uploaded to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/JoRoSaR. And at the time of viewing here, you should expect to see those videos up on my channel, give or take in about 2 or 3 days, so not much longer. And of course, these replays from tonight will follow those. For now, though, we can see Dead Wing, pretty big map here. And therefore, we've got the hatchery going down at the natural expansion. PDQ here for petraeus is going to be following that up with a gas and then a spawning pool. So we'll be able to get a little bit of early map control with that Zergling speed quite early indeed. Harstem looks like he will scout his opponent first. Very, very useful on a map this size, and will immediately spot exactly what his opponent is going for. Sees that the gas guys is already up and mining. So the timing on that basically already tells Harstem everything he needs to know. Back at home, this Overlord from petraeus is going to be able to spot that this will be, in fact, a gateway expand. The first Zealot has just popped out, and look at here, we're going to be seeing a Nexus in approximately 2 seconds, 1 second, and boom. So there we go. Harstem here, just going to be responding with a very, very standard opening. We've seen a reasonable amount of aggression from both sides. Harstem going for that Immortal Sentry push there, for example, in game number 1, which he won. And in subsequent games, we actually see petraeus, I want to say taking the defensive role, because traditionally you tend to see Hydralisk Zergling as a little bit of a defensive composition where you're trying to defend against an Immortal Sentry all-in or something similar. The Lings just soak up damage and you can make them quickly, while the Hydralisk dish out the DPS. But petraeus has also been very, very aggressive with them as well. We've seen Hydras out in the middle of the map, using them to facilitate that switch into Mutalisk tech and stuff like that as well. So both sides basically looking to give it a good fight here, and that's exactly what we'd like to see. So the first couple Lings of this game now going down as the gateways. Really just sealing this off for now is Harstem. There's actually quite a lot of space that you can potentially use to try and harass into the natural expansion. I mean, look at this ramp. This is like the fattest ramp that ever ramped, guys, basically. And, I mean, there's this space in addition as well to the destructible debris here. It is not the world's most closed map, but the advantage is at least the distances are large. It looks like Azella is going to get caught out in the middle of the map here. The Mothership Core trying its best to hold on and stop it from dying, but unfortunately was unable to do so. Oh, and these Zerglings are going to be able to spot that probe, will be able to kill it off, unfortunately. Nice try there from Harstem to try and sneak it by, but wasn't going to be having any of it is petraeus. In the meantime, opting rather than to wall this off, I'm just going to go ahead and take this instead and defend the fat ramp a little bit later on. Of course, also useful in terms of spreading creep. So we have the third base coming down now from petraeus as well, and eventually he'd knock down these destructible debris and build his fourth base here and kind of try and defend in this area here where it's basically a common choke point for all 4 of his future bases. After the third base goes down, there isn't really too much that's going on in his camp as well. We're just going to be thinking about getting a layer up and a Roach Warren, which is exactly what he's doing right now. We'll check out the timing for those upgrades in the Evo Chamber too, which also has to be a consideration. Likely he might just be going for one if he's feeling a little bit defensive-minded, or if he might be planning a timing attack of his own soon. Or we could be going for two if he feels completely safe and he thinks he can actually get away with spending his money there because he won't need to defend. But with these hallucinated phoenixes flying around, that kind of tells a Zerg player, okay, my Protoss opponent is constantly waiting for an opportunity to get at me. I need to be a little bit careful. And that's exactly what PetraeUs is doing, because he's moving his Overlords into bases. He's wanting to see what on earth his opponent has got going. There is a Forge going down for Harstem. This Overlord not really moving anywhere yet. Nothing revealed in terms of tech. And in the meantime, we have Burrow coming down from PetraeUs here. So very, very interesting developments indeed. Potential for a massive, massive Roach attack involving Burrow here. And he also sees that Harstem moves out with a bunch of Zealots, Sentries, and the Mothership Core. Thanks to those Zerglings that he sacked in the middle of the map there. Now, from Harstem's point of view, his goal with this attack is to prevent... basically prevent the Zerg player from ever getting into a position where he might just have a big army ball that prevents Harstem from taking a third base or kills it dead. What he wants to do is hopefully just constantly trade with the army of PetraeUs and say, I'm on 3 bases, you're on 3 bases. Generally speaking, that favors the Protoss player a little bit. I am fine with this status quo, are you? Unfortunately, PetraeUs doesn't seem very fine with that status quo, and these Zealots, well, they're getting bullied around a little bit by the Roaches, to be perfectly honest, and he's going to have to go home with that. He needs a larger army if he wants to seriously think about engaging this. The third base, though, is now down, and any counterattack by PetraeUs is going to have to contend with cannons as well as a high ground fighting low ground kind of thing. So I don't think this is too much of bad news. PetraeUs moving in with the Roaches now, trying to pick up a couple of sentries. One of them almost going down. Not quite, though, and it looks like, unfortunately, the cannon is a detector, of course, and will be able to give vision of those Roaches when they are burrowed. Harstem, though, now under attack by more and more Roaches coming in. He wants to kill off the cannon first because he knows there's no detection. There we go. Robotics Facility now making an observer. And, oh, if he kills off this pylon, he can basically indefinitely burrow his Roaches, and that's what's going to happen. The Robotics Facility, no, it's powered by another pylon up to the north, so he's not going to be able to do that. But we have got a bunch of Roaches trying to move inside the main base. Good force field there from Harstem to prevent PetraeUs access to that. And right now, oh, unfortunately, that's not going to do because of the observer that has just finished coming out of the Robotics Facility. And these Roaches are now potentially visible. You can see that observer moving with the army right now, and Harstem will successfully repel the attack here from PetraeUs. All things Protoss now looking pretty good indeed. And the Roaches now, they're going to be changing tack a little bit. They're saying, right, it doesn't look like I'm going to get in through the third base. How about through the destructible rocks of the natural? And you can see what I mean earlier about how this map just tends to be the generator of constant defending everywhere, just being so aggressive. He's actually burrow moving straight into the rest of this army. With the number of Zealots here doing decent DPS, I'm not 110% certain that in the long run, with Photon Overcharge as well, he can get away with this because there are just more Warpins, but it looks like PetraeUs has managed to do it. Harstem's like, well, actually, with the Warpins, I'm going to have to concede some ground anyway, which he would. He'd probably end up losing half, if not an entire base, but he would be able to warp it and repel this off, but I think he's decided that the advantage would simply be too much, and mYinsanity's PetraeUs, ladies and gentlemen, opens up a gap of 2 to go 3-1 in this best of 9 against Harstem.